Self-development took over my life a few years ago. I read hundreds of books, listened to countless hours of podcasts, and watched every Gary Vee video I could find.
Eating shit and taking it is something I do every day. And to me, that is leadership. To me, that's playing the long.
But regardless of how hard I tried, I felt like I just wasn't making any progress in my life. And if you've ever felt stuck in your self-development journey, it's likely for the same reasons that I did. And that's why in today's video, I want to talk to you about the 5 things that I wish I knew when I started self-development so that you can learn from my mistakes, but also save yourself years of frustration. You see, the first thing that I wish I knew earlier is actually a rather simple but hard-hitting question. And that question is, what do you want to want? See, this question, oh, I forgot a T. This question, it relates to the decisions that we make in our lives. The sad reality is that we make a lot of decisions in our lives. Most of the decisions, because they are either what most people are doing or because we want to look a certain way to other people. More often than not, I was pursuing things for some material reason, or I was trying to, impress people, or I thought it was the right thing to do. And that's a shitty thing to have to admit, because I'm ultimately saying that I care more about what other people think of me than what I think of myself.
My cat scratched me. Look at that. Little bastard.
And it wasn't until I read an article called "What Do You Want to Want" that I realized that I was doing this. We make decisions in our lives because we think that that's what we want. But a lot of the time, we don't actually even want what we think we want. We just think that we want those things because they're kind of the default wants. They're what everyone else seems to want, or what we're told we should want. Digging deeper and asking yourself what you actually want to want is crucial. It is one of the most important questions that you can ask yourself in your life. Because when you recognize that surface level wants like wealth and fame and approval from others won't bring you happiness, you actually put yourself years ahead in the game. People spend their entire lives chasing these shallow desires only to realize that they never wanted them in the first place. And because of this idea, I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm not making decisions that are totally misguided by external influences. I went from living in downtown Toronto with all of my friends in the middle of seemingly everything to living in my parents' basement at 25 years old, because that's what I wanted to want. My sales job, I quit it with no backup plan. I was making a good living at that place. It was a great company. I had a known career path ahead of me. But instead, I decided to do what? Go and landscape. A job that most people would consider very low status. Why? Because that sales role wasn't what I wanted to want. I started this YouTube channel right now that you're watching, despite potential judgment from everyone that I knew, because it is what I wanted to want. I've wasted too much time seeking approval from others, and it's been the biggest mistake of my life. So from the bottom of my heart, I beg you to stop wasting time doing shit that you don't want, and instead spend some time asking yourself, what do you want to want? Because there are some amazing things on the other side of that. But even once you start to figure that out, there's a pretty high probability that you'll start to fall into this next trap, which is comparing yourself to others. And I know, I used to roll my eyes to this one too. It's super cliche, right? Everyone says it. But there's actually a really great insight that I learned recently that has completely changed my mind on the subject. You see, comparing yourself to others is inevitable. I do it all the time. Maybe I see someone in a better job than I have, or they make more money than I do, or their girlfriend is more attractive than mine.
But you don't have a girlfriend, Devin.
Naved, what did I tell you about watching me poop?
Not when we have guests.
Yeah, exactly. See, the problem with comparing yourself to others is that there's always going to be someone who has something that is better than what you have. And so no matter where you look, you're just always going to be jealous. And you're just going to be left feeling like, well, shit. Jeez. There's actually a really great idea that's allowed me to better manage my jealousy personally. And I heard this idea from the comedian Jimmy Carr on the Chris Williamson podcast. And I tell you about it, but Jimmy has a British accent, so I'll just let him say it.
I've sort of got a holistic theory of jealousy. If you're comparing yourself to someone else, you might look at their career and go, oh my God, they're playing 15 sold out nights at the O2 Arena. Oh my God, they must be making bank. Incredible. No, you have to be jealous of the whole thing. Take the whole thing.
Correct.
You need their wife, their kids, their car, their house, their life. Who would you actually swap lives with? I feel like there's no one, because you go, well, this is I like the adventure I'm on.
Yeah.
I want to see how this turns out.
This was a huge realization for me. Nothing that anyone has exists in isolation. It only exists in the context of their whole lives. That high-paying job that they have, yeah, in isolation, it sounds really cool. But they probably work stupidly long hours. They're under a ton of stress. They probably don't see their friends as much as they'd like to. Their friends also aren't really small or short, they're like far away from them. So that's why that's like that. Or they've just completely stopped prioritizing their health. There are likely a whole bunch of sacrifices that these people have made to get where they are that you likely just don't want to make. Take a guy like Elon Musk, for example. Literally the richest and one of the most successful and powerful people ever. Most people look at his life and are incredibly jealous of what he has and the things that he's achieved. But in his most recent conversation with Lex Friedman, listen to what Elon had to say.
My mind is a storm, and I don't think most people would want to be me. They may think they would want to be me, but they don't. They don't know. They don't understand.
And when he realizes that there's no one that you'd actually want to swap lives with, well, you can detach from the jealousy and finally get back on track to happiness. Right? Well, there's just one problem. There's no track to happiness. Let me show you what I mean. Guys, if you notice, I'm growing out my mustache. Yes, it is indeed for Movember. Yeah, wow. Oh my gosh. All right, settle down, guys. Now, listen, the link to donate is in my bio. Please donate if you can. It's all for a great cause. You see, happiness isn't a destination, but we, humans, for some reason we think it is. But I think that deep down, you and I have proven to ourselves enough times that happiness is not a destination. So the question becomes, why do we continue to tell ourselves that it is? But in order to answer that question, I need to give you a teeny weeny mini little micro lesson on evolutionary psychology. Don't click off, I promise this will be fun, maybe. You'll learn something at the very least. You see, humans, we've been around for quite a while, something like 300,000 years or so. And for the vast majority of that time, the world did not look like it does today. They didn't have anything we had today. They didn't have YouTube or pens or toe spacers. I bought these for my bunions, so now you know about my bunions. I don't know what to tell you. And so in the grand scheme of humans, all of this is very new, like the last couple hundred years new, if even that. But our brains evolved the majority of that time to simply survive. So the majority of the questions that we were asking back then were much different. Like, what's my next meal gonna be? I'm just kidding, I would never eat a dog. Where's my shelter gonna be tonight? Who's gonna have my children? You see, all these questions, they're centered around outcomes. We needed to find food because we needed energy to do things. We needed shelter so we didn't freeze to death. We wanted to reproduce so that we could spread our genes. They were necessary for survival. God, it's cold out here. But you see, life is different now. I assume that if you're watching this video, you're probably not too concerned about where your next meal's coming from or where you're gonna sleep tonight. But our brain still wants to latch on to those outcomes that I just talked about because it's how we've evolved. It's all it knows, and it thinks that our survival depends on it.
And so we end up flocking to things like money and status and YouTube subscribers because we think that if we get those things, then we'll be happy. If I only made $100,000 a year, then I'd be happy. Or if I get that promotion at work, well, then I'll be happy. Or if I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, then I'd be happy. No, seriously though, that'd be pretty cool. So subscribe. Thanks. But deep down, we know this isn't true. Let's say you get the money or you get the promotion or you get the subscribers, whatever. You're not going to be happy because all that's going to happen is you're just going to want the next best thing. It's a never-ending cycle. Alex Hormozi has the best tweet on this. He says, "You've already achieved goals you said would make you happy." And it's so true. Let me give you an example. You see, at the beginning of this year in this book right here, I set a bunch of goals for myself with regards to subscriber count that I wanted to hit right here.
You can see all my goals here, 100, 250, it goes all the way up to 10,000, but pretty recently I actually hit one of my subscriber goals, which was 750.
And when this happened, I kind of had a scary realization. Like, fundamentally, there's no difference between 750 subscribers and 1 million subscribers. Okay, let me back up. There's a big difference between those two numbers. But what I'm trying to say is that if you can't celebrate and be appreciative of a goal, regardless of how small or large it is, well, you're never going to be appreciative of goals. So if I'm not appreciative of hitting that 750 subscriber number, then I'm sure as hell not going to be appreciative when I hit 1 million. Like, if this was the video to get me to 1 million subscribers, that would be fucking insane and impossible. But like, I'd be really happy for a bit, and then I would probably just get used to that million and just want the next million. I would just say, I'll be satisfied and happy when I get 2 million or 5 million, whatever. You could play this game forever, and people do play it forever. And there's probably a good chance that there's something in your life that you're using to justify your unhappiness. I don't know what that is, but there is probably something. And I guess I just want you to take away from this part of the video that you should spend some time figuring out what that is. And once you do that, you can then start to realize that even if you got that thing in your wildest dreams, it wouldn't make you happy. You just want the next thing. You have everything that you need right now to be happy. Like, as you're watching this YouTube video, you don't need anything else in the world, and you can be happy. I know it's a weird thought to have, and it's something I'm still struggling with, but it's the truth. So let's talk about books now, though. Oh, hey, sorry. Caught me off guard. I was just finishing up my 12th book of the week. Oh, what's up? How did I get so cool? Well, that's a great question. It really all starts back with this used to be me. I used to think that reading a lot of books meant that I was cool, which is actually the fourth mistake that I was making, which is that I was reading way too many books. Now, I'm not saying don't read books. What I am saying is don't read too many books. Because what I've realized is that the number of books that you read doesn't actually matter all that much. The only thing that matters when it comes to reading is what you do with the information. A guy who reads one book per year, but actually takes the information and implements it into his life to try and improve it, is infinitely smarter than a guy who reads 100 books per year, but changes absolutely nothing about his behavior. And that lesson took me way too long to realize. Like, I've read most of these books on this bookshelf, and I couldn't tell you what's inside of like 95% of them, because I read them during a period of my life where I was more concerned with the number of books that I was reading, the number of books I could tell people that I was reading, instead of actually just focusing on the information that was inside those books. And there's actually a great quote from Naval Ravikant from this book, where he talks about reading books, and he says this right here: reading a book isn't a race. The better the book, the more slowly it should be absorbed. And that's pretty much how I viewed reading this year. I'm much less concerned about the number of books that I've read this year and much more concerned about what I can actually learn from every single book that I've read. And that's actually a huge reason I started this YouTube channel in the first place. It was to share the ideas that I learned through books and podcasts and whatever it is, and actually slow down how quickly I'm absorbing this information. And I actually think that this is the best place for you to start as well. Now, you don't have to start a YouTube channel to make the best use of this. You can also simply grab a notebook and write down the lessons you learned from that book and specific instances where you're actually going to apply those lessons in your life. Or you can find a friend or a family member and against their will teach them things they probably don't care about, but at the very least you're reiterating what you just learned to someone else. Essentially, the less attached you can become to the number of books that you read, the better, because that means that you can actually place more importance and become more attached to the action that you're actually going to take in your life. Unfortunately, simply taking action isn't always the right thing to do. In fact, taking action can sometimes bring you further away from your goals. But in order for you to understand what I mean, we actually need to talk about the thing. And more importantly, not doing the thing. Now, you may be wondering what exactly the thing is and why not doing the thing is actually an issue. And those are both fantastic questions. You see, the thing, it can be anything. The issue is that it's specific to you. Maybe it's leg day at the gym, or it's a business that you're working on. Doesn't really matter what it is. The thing is just something that's important to you that you know needs to get done. In my case, the thing is actually making YouTube videos. From coming up with the idea to making thumbnails, writing, editing, filming, it's a lot of work. And so doing the thing, whatever it is for you, is actually really hard. And when things are hard, what does our brain like to do? Literally anything else. Like anything. I'm cleaning the basement right now just to avoid doing the thing, actually. Yeah. And what's really messed up is that our brains will actually convince us that doing this thing that isn't the thing is actually going to help us do the thing better. But in reality, it's just a complete distraction. Now, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Everyone has been guilty of doing something that isn't the thing so they don't have to do the thing. But I became conscious of it first when I read an article called Things That Aren't Doing the Thing, and I actually wanted to read it for you right now. Preparing to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Scheduling time to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Making a to-do list for the thing isn't doing the thing. Telling people you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Messaging friends who may or may not be doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Writing a banger tweet about how you're going to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on yourself for not doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on other people who have done the thing isn't doing the thing. Hating on obstacles in the way of doing the thing isn't doing the thing. Fantasizing about all of the adoration you'll receive once you do the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading about how to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading about how other people did the thing isn't doing the thing. Reading this essay isn't doing the thing. The only thing that is doing the thing is doing the thing. For so many years of my self-development journey, I wasted time doing things that weren't the thing and convincing myself that they were the thing. Now, for all of you out there who are trying to do something meaningful with your life, I can promise you that you are wasting time on things that are not the thing. And although it may be hard to distinguish what is the thing and what is not the thing, it is one of the most important distinctions you can make in your life. But I can help you out and give you a quick win and tell you one thing with certainty that is not doing the thing. And it is watching this video right now. So I'll give you a head start and let you go. See you soon.